Hey, my creative friends. My name is Shannon from shannonstudio.com, and I am here to talk about creative life tips. And we are on day 350, and I was thinking about that as I wrote it tonight, and I'm thinking 350 days in a row. Hey, Rose. Hey, Joan. I am just so excited, Joan, that I have done this for 350 days in a row. Like I've said before, I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I didn't promote it like you should do when you do a business. You run a business, you should promote things. And I think it just really started out for me. I mean, I had the business in the back of my head, but if I really had business as my goal, I would have promoted it. I would have put it on Instagram. I would have done, a bunch of other things, which I haven't done any of it. And we're 350 days in, and it's still not. I mean, I automatically do some things now, but that only came, I upload it now to YouTube, but I think that only started halfway through. So it's just been interesting at 350 days to do something every day, a content video like this. It has really pushed me and made me really think about what I think about creativity, and that I really do. It's really an authentic thing. It's I really do feel like it's a great thing in our lives. I really do believe there's benefits that come from it, from my own personal experience, but then from also reading all the research. And there's a lot of research out there, and I like it because it says that creativity can be had in a lot of different ways. It's not just a one path sort of thing. It is a huge road that mostly everybody can find something on that road toward creativity that they would enjoy doing. So it's not even a hard thing to do. It's something that can be really fun. So anyways, I just have had a great process with this. But I've been struggling with starting the Creative Heartbeats Club. I've been struggling with that. I was already supposed to have the whole website, everything set up, at the beginning of the month. That was my goal. And we're on the 14th. So, and the other night, I was so struggling. And I talked about that a few days ago. But I just pushed along and kept at it, and it was a couple more hours of just slugging through it, that it was finally, okay, I get several things now. I get how to do it. Now we just have to go through the process of doing it. And that's just, struggle is part of it. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, is struggle. I was reading something from Brene Brown, and she was doing an interview with Tim Ferriss, and she said one of the things she was describing was the fact that, they were talking about the phenomenon that has happened with her and people following her, and I think it's the most popular video. I mean, her TED Talk is the most popular TED Talk of all the TED Talks. And that's not anything she expected. And her story is that the day before, she let her husband know. They came back, I think, from Hawaii or something, and she let her husband know she wasn't going to give the talk that she had planned. She had just been to some conference with a company and talked to them about being vulnerable and taking chances and taking risks. And so she said, I'm going to take a risk. And so that TED Talk was her risk. And then it opened the door for a whole lot of things in her life. So they were talking about kind of that process, how she became famous, and that he was wondering kind of what she thought was the reason. And she said that she thought people really appreciated the research, that it was really good and it was eye-opening, but that she thought they followed her because they like to watch her struggle with it. Because her philosophy is if this wasn't so important, if this wasn't worth doing, if this isn't what you should be doing, then I wouldn't do it. it's too hard. It's too difficult. It just brings up all the stuff that is that vulnerability and shame will bring up. And she goes, I wouldn't do it. So she thought people liked that, her struggle with it and being a part of that. And so I kind of thought of that, that whole idea of watching the struggle from a safe distance. Sometimes we like that. We like that safe distance from the struggle, and we can almost live vicariously through somebody else's struggle without getting hurt, so to speak. And so in the book Transcend, he says, I think this is Scott Barry Kaufman, says, part of what gives us meaning in life is the struggle to overcome adversity. And he says, if we had our own way, we'd choose only occasional struggle. And but he also points out that some of our highest highs are because of some of our lowest lows. And if it's not a direct relationship, my thought is, if it's not a direct relationship of your highest high is not a direct relationship for your lowest low, at least it's a comparison tool, because you know what your lowest low is. You know that. So you know the opposite feelings. You know what it's like to be in a place without struggle and appreciate it. He also says in that book, it appears the most profound experiences in life are those in which we overcome a seemingly life-threatening or impossible struggle. And I'm not going to get like on the varying struggling scale, what's her worst, and struggle is struggle for a lot of us. And I don't mean struggle as in like some artists think that creativity has to be approached in this this angst and this anguish, and that drives creativity, and that's the source of creativity. And I don't agree with that. I think it can be a source. I don't think it is the source. And some people feel like it's the source, that if they're not suffering enough, they're not going to make great art. And to me, that's just a vicious cycle, that you keep yourself in this angst and this life. The idea is to overcome struggle, not to wallow in it and look for it and fish around in it. So that's more of a martyr syndrome. But I'm talking about struggling with trying to figure out things, trying to make our hands do what our brains are thinking, or to try to come up with ideas to connect things that are important to us, and then how to communicate that in a visual way. I'm talking about that kind of struggle as far as creativity goes. And that's the kind of struggle that I hope we have some of in Creative Heartbeats Club. In the club. I hope that we do some of these prompts that will push us to struggle with some of our thoughts, to struggle with coming up with ideas, to struggle, to not just go on this happy little way, but that we work the process, because there's value in the process of being creative. Let's see. Elizabeth Gilbert, and her idea of creativity is that it's like an outside source. It's almost like this. I think she calls it a genius, a muse. So she says, because this is the other side of the contract with creativity, if inspiration is allowed to unexpectedly enter you, it is also allowed to unexpectedly exit you. And so that struggle with creativity, in her view, is like, once it leaves, then you're stuck with yourself. And so you have to struggle with yourself to be able to go through that process. Anyways, Creative Heartbeats Club is going to be, actually seeking out a little struggle sometimes, seeking out the hard things, pushing ourselves, knowing that in doing so, we are going to benefit ourselves, that we're going to have good experiences from doing it. So that's the tip tonight. And also, still watch for the pre-launch of Creative Heartbeats Club. I'm getting closer. And if you have any questions for me, ask in the comments, because I am almost starting the section of frequently asked questions. And so when you're in it, you know, when you're in the middle of doing something, you don't think about what somebody doesn't know because you have all the information. Whereas somebody that's thinking, you know, or looking at something, they don't have all the information. So, you know, it would be easy to miss things. So if you have any questions about Creative Heartbeats Club, let me know. And then I can work through those and add them to the frequently asked questions section I'm working on. So that is it for tonight. Struggle's okay. And we don't want to have struggle and just watch it from a safe distance. I will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, remember you have a creative heartbeat. Listen for it. And bye for now.